Have you ever wondered why Ireland, known as the Celtic Tiger, is one of the richest countries in the world, yet many of its citizens can't afford to live there? This, my friends, is a classic case of what economists call an economic paradox, and it's a conundrum that has baffled many. Ireland, a small island on the edge of Europe, has experienced an economic transformation that's nothing short of a marvel. From the late 90s to the early noughties, Ireland's economy roared, earning it the nickname the Celtic Tiger. This was a period of rapid real economic growth fueled by foreign direct investment, and Ireland transformed from one of the poorest countries in Western Europe to a high-income economy. But here's the twist in the tale. With this economic boom came a high cost of living. Housing prices skyrocketed and the cost of goods and services shot up. Suddenly, the Emerald Isle was not just a land of lush green landscapes and warm hospitality. It became one of the most expensive places to live in Europe, and for many of the country's citizens, the cost of living became prohibitive. Now you might be wondering, how did this happen? How did a country that was once struggling with poverty become a land where the cost of living is so high that many of its own people can't afford it? Well, this is where things get interesting. The story of the Irish paradox is a complex one, interwoven with global economics, domestic policies, and the relentless march of progress. It's a story of how a small nation seized opportunities, transformed its economy, and yet, perhaps inadvertently, ended up creating a society where the cost of living outpaced the ability of many of its citizens to keep up. So, what led to this paradox? Let's delve into the history of Ireland's economy. The story begins in the late 1980s when Ireland was a low-income economy. At this time, the Emerald Isle was far from the economic powerhouse it would become, but change was on the horizon. As we moved into the 90s, a series of pivotal decisions set the stage for an unprecedented economic boom. This period of rapid growth, known as the Celtic Tiger, transformed Ireland from one of the poorest countries in Western Europe to one of the wealthiest. One of the key factors that fueled this transformation was Ireland's low corporate tax rates. By offering a corporate tax rate of just 12.5%, Ireland became an attractive destination for big international corporations. Companies like Apple, Google, and Pfizer set up European headquarters on Irish soil, bringing with them jobs, infrastructure, and an influx of foreign direct investment. But it wasn't just about luring in the big fish. Ireland also made significant investments in education during this period. The government recognized that in order to compete on a global stage, they needed a well-educated workforce. Universities and technical institutions received increased funding, and the focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the so-called STEM subjects, was amplified. This investment paid off in spades as Ireland began to produce a wave of highly skilled workers ready to take on the jobs created by these multinational corporations. Lastly, the globalization of the world economy played a significant role. Ireland, with its English-speaking population and strategic location, was perfectly positioned to ride the wave of globalization. As barriers to international trade fell, Ireland was able to capitalize on its newfound strengths, attracting even more foreign investment and creating a positive feedback loop of growth and prosperity. But the rapid growth was not without its pitfalls. As we will see in the next scene, the Celtic Tiger's roar was loud, but it also echoed with the sound of a bubble about to burst. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the Irish paradox. With rapid economic growth came a steep rise in the cost of living. In the twinkling of an eye, it seemed, the Emerald Isle, once known for its lush landscapes and genial populace, became a symbol of unbridled prosperity. But, as we all know, every coin has two sides. The Celtic Tiger's roar brought with it a dramatic escalation in property prices. Homes that were once affordable, even considered bargains, skyrocketed in value. It was as if a modest cottage had transformed overnight into a castle, with a price tag to match. The housing market was ablaze, and this fire, instead of warming the hearths of the Irish, began to burn them. This wasn't just an issue for those looking to buy a new home. Renters, too, found themselves caught in the flames. Landlords, seeing the opportunity to make a quick buck, hiked up rents. As a result, many people found themselves priced out of their own neighborhoods, forced to move to more affordable, often less desirable areas. But the cost of living isn't just about housing, it's about the price of a loaf of bread, a pint of milk, a bus ticket. Inflation, that silent thief, was also on the prowl. As the economy boomed, prices of everyday goods and services started to climb, slowly but surely eating away at the purchasing power of the average citizen. All this might have been bearable if wages had kept pace, but alas, they didn't. While the high-flying executives and property moguls saw their incomes balloon, wage growth for the average worker was at best sluggish. The gap between the haves and the have-nots began to widen, and the middle class, once the backbone of the Irish economy, found themselves squeezed in the vice of rising costs and stagnant wages. So there you have it. The Celtic Tiger, while bringing prosperity to some, also brought hardship to many. The rich got richer, while the average citizen struggled to keep up with the soaring costs. A paradox indeed of a country growing richer by the day, yet becoming increasingly unaffordable for its own people. Fast forward to today, and the situation hasn't improved much. Ireland, once the shining beacon of economic might, now grapples with a high cost of living and an ever-widening wealth disparity. The Emerald Isle's glow seems to have dimmed, but let's not write it off just yet. Dublin, the nation's capital, is among the priciest cities in the world to live in. The cost of housing, utilities, groceries, and transportation can make a sizable dent in anyone's wallet. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city center, a cool €2,000 a month, and let's not even get started on the price of a pint. Then there's the issue of wealth disparity. While Ireland's GDP per capita is one of the highest in the world, this wealth is not evenly distributed. A small number of ultra-high net worth individuals hold a large proportion of the country's wealth, leaving the majority of the population to grapple with the high cost of living. It's like being invited to a lavish banquet, only to realize you're on dishwashing duty. But it's not all doom and gloom. The government recognizes these issues and has taken steps to address them. Measures such as rent control, affordable housing schemes, and progressive taxation are on the table, but are these enough to bridge the gap? The future, as they say, is a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. Ireland's economic future is no different. While the country is taking steps to fix its issues, only time will tell if these measures will bear fruit. What we do know is this: Ireland is a country of resilience, of tenacity, and of an indomitable spirit that has seen it weather many a storm. And as the country continues to navigate the choppy waters of economic disparity, it does so with the knowledge that it has faced and overcome greater challenges in the past. Ireland, the richest country that people can't afford to live in, a paradox indeed. But as history has shown us, paradoxes are made to be solved. And if there's one thing the Irish are good at, it's finding solutions to problems. So here's to Ireland, and here's to a future that we hope will be as bright as the country's storied past.